Now!
Attention, all Stranger Things fans! Get ready to journey back in time to the wild world of the mid-2000s, where flip phones and angsty emo bands ruled the land. Imagine the world of Stranger Things, where the local arcade is the Starcourt Mall and the gang plays LAN parties instead of Dungeons and Dragons, where Nancy and Steve pass notes over AOL Instant Messenger, and the conspiracies surrounding Hawkins' lab revolve around fears of Middle Eastern terrorism. Join us as we explore what our favorite Stranger Things characters would be like in the year 2003. From Mike's pop-punk style to Dustin's Tamagotchi and NSYNC obsession, to Lucas's pragmatic approach and Will's artistic flair. This trip through time is not one to miss, so grab a tall glass of Tang and get ready for a hilarious ride through the past. Picture this. It's the early 2000s and the Stranger Things we all adore have been transported to this era of bold fashion, fresh pop hits, and electrifying rock anthems. Instead of the classic synth-driven theme we know and love, the soundtrack would feature the groovy beats of The Killers. The haunting melodies of Interpol.
You're coming with me.
And the raw energy of the White Stripes. All infused with a dash of French house music for a futuristic sci-fi vibe. And just imagine in the 4th season when Max takes the stage, she belts out the hit song Bring Me to Life by Evanescence. Sending chills down our spines and making us believe in the magic of music all over again. The suburban streets of Hawkins would be a totally different scene. Every house would be decked out in mini blinds and beige walls. And don't forget about the quaint neighborhood hangout spots. The heart of all the action would be located in the bustling Starcourt Mall. While the gang plays their favorite game of Dungeons and Dragons, they also get together for wild LAN gaming parties. With the sounds of gunfire from Halo and the clanging of swords in Warcraft filling the air, the guys spend their weekends battling it out for bragging rights. And let's not forget about the endless references to Lord of the Rings.
We got time to dress up as an elf for our Elden Free campaign 4 years ago.
Harry Potter and the Matrix. The kids may have traded in their bikes for Razor scooters, but the action is just as intense.
Whoa, hey.
And what about Nancy and Steve's love story? The two now chat through AOL Instant Messenger and pass secret notes in class. Who needs love letters when you have digital ones saved in your inbox? The 2000s may have brought a new level of tech to Hawkins, but the heart of the story remains the same.
Sorry.
The lab in Hawkins is like Fort Knox with all its super tight security, recently heightened because of the 9/11 attacks. The creepy lab would have all the latest tech for keeping tabs on its workers and making sure no one gets in without permission. It's like something straight out of a 24-hour action movie. But instead of worrying about sneaky Russians, the big fear would be terrorist attacks from the Middle East. The lab would be a fortress of mystery, with all sorts of rumors and whispers about what goes on inside. Now that we set the stage a bit, what would our favorite Stranger Things characters be like in the 2000s?
Mom, get off the phone! No, Mom, just get off the phone!
Mike Wheeler, the fearless and cunning head honcho of the Hawkins squad, would embody the essence of 2003 with his trendy and edgy vibe. Donning a baggy jean ensemble paired with a hoodie, Mike's hair would be styled in a spiky, gravity-defying faux hawk that screams the early 2000s. Rocking out the beats of pop-punk legends like Blink-182 and Sum 41, Mike would be slaying it on his PlayStation 2, shredding virtual skate parks in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Nothing would stop this hero from safeguarding his friends, especially the enigmatic 11, against any and all threats that dare stand in his way.
Sorry. Spasm.
Dustin Henderson from Stranger Things would be a total blast if it was set in 2003. He'd be the same loyal and hilarious friend, but with a totally different style. He would be sporting a Kick Me sign on his back and carrying a Tamagotchi, the must-have digital pet of the time. He would be rocking a bowl cut and sporting the latest gaming gear, playing on his Game Boy Advance and geeking out over the latest Dungeons & Dragons expansion pack. He'd also be a pro at all the classic video games like Mario Kart and Halo. He'd be the butt of all the jokes at school, but he'd never let it get to him.
Step back. No. Seriously.
No! If you die, I die.
He'd still be willing to help out his friends no matter what.
Henderson.
Henderson, he's back!
His relationship with Steve Harrington would be just as entertaining and endearing, with the two of them bonding over their shared love of hair gel.
Perfect hair, all right? It's not about the hair, man. The key with girls is just acting like you don't care.
And boy bands like NSYNC. With Steve's help, he'd finally get his girlfriend Susie,
Girlfriend? Wait, so her name is Susie?
who would be hotter than Britney Spears, who he communicates with via MySpace and shares music with via LimeWire. Despite his goofiness, Dustin would still be brave and compassionate. He'd be the ultimate hero in 2003, and you definitely want him on your side.
I wish we could make out forever and never hang out with any of our friends.
Lucas Sinclair would be wearing a baggy pair of cargo shorts and a tight-fitting Abercrombie & Fitch t-shirt, topped off with a fresh pair of Nikes. He'd be the kind of guy who loves playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater on the PS2 and listening to Taking Back Sunday on his iPod. Lucas would be the level-headed and pragmatic member of the gang.
What are you doing?
Don't worry. With a steady hand and quick aim from his trusty, the wrist rocket slingshot, and he'd be ready to take on any monsters from the Upside Down with a slingshot and a pocket full of stones. But don't be fooled by his tough exterior. Lucas has a soft side too. He's a hopeless romantic, and he's always ready to offer dating advice to his friends Mike and Eleven. He's the kind of guy who'll take Max to see The Notebook, or a walk to remember at the local theater, even though it might result in a playful punch from her. Despite his cool demeanor, Lucas is fearless and fiercely loyal, always willing to do anything to protect those he loves.
Did you paint this?
Yeah.
Will Byers, the introverted artist, would be thriving in 2003 before the otherworldly terrors struck. He'd still be the mastermind behind epic Dungeons & Dragons adventures, and when he's not slaying imaginary beasts, he's doodling away in his notebook, creating unique works of art that are the envy of all of his friends. But after his traumatic encounters with the Upside Down and its monstrous inhabitants, Will transforms into the epitome of emo cool. He'd be jamming out to angsty tracks by My Chemical Romance and Taking Back Sunday, and rocking a sleek, Matrix-inspired look. He'd be a regular on Zanga and DeviantArt, where he posts his latest creations, little realizing the trouble that could bring him as the government agents start closing in, piecing together their location from the cryptic details hidden within his art.
Back.
11, also known as Elle, is the mind-bending telekinetic girl who's not afraid to use her powers for good. She's like X-Men's Rogue, but instead of stealing powers, she's sending Demogorgons back to the Upside Down. As she re-enters society, she'll still be chowing down on her beloved Eggo waffles, but she'll also still be figuring out her hair clips, crop tops, and listening to Britney Spears on her pink portable CD player. She shifts styles for a while, but eventually would settle on sporting a punk rock look with a choker necklace and a Nirvana t-shirt. She'll still be carrying around a pink Razor scooter, and she'll still be listening to Avril Lavigne and Green Day. Despite her tough exterior, 11 would still be a vulnerable and kind-hearted character who's willing to do anything to protect her friends and family. She'll also be a huge fan of X-Men comics, inspired by her own powers.
Maxine.
It's Max.
Sorry?
Nobody calls me Maxine.
Max Mayfield, the fearless skateboarder and avid arcade player, would be the epitome of the early 2000s tomboy vibe. With her knack for sticking to the classics, she'd be completely uninterested in the dance-infused craze of Dance Dance Revolution and instead be mastering the art of beating high scores in classic games like Dig Dug. She'd be sporting a baggy pair of cargo shorts, a punk rock band t-shirt, and a fresh pair of Vans, ready to shred the half pipe at the local skate park. And when she's not shredding, she's jamming out to the rebellious beats of Avril Lavigne, the contagious hooks of Good Charlotte, and the pop-punk anthems of Blink-182 on her Discman. Max is more than just a tomboy. She's also a loyal and fiercely independent friend who isn't afraid to stand up for what's right, whether it's at school, with her family, or against monsters from the Upside Down.
Someone order a pizza?
Pizza?
So now that we know what the main gang would be like in the early 2000s, what about the other beloved characters from Stranger Things?
Nancy Wheeler.
Pretending like everything's okay.
Nancy Wheeler would be the epitome of early 2000s girl power, with a bold and fearless attitude that makes her stand out in a crowd. She's not afraid to show off her edgy style, sporting a side ponytail, crop top, and low-rise jeans, paired with chunky platform sandals. With a fierce love for pop music, Nancy can be found belting out her favorite tunes like Bye 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 by NSYNC and Complicated by Avril Lavigne. As the only member of the gang with a cell phone, Nancy takes on the role of the tech-savvy sleuth, using her Nokia phone to uncover the mysteries of Hawkins and the Upside Down. However, her status as the only one with a phone means she's often tasked with covering for her friends and brother, using her quick thinking and cunning to keep them one step ahead of her parents and the government agents. Despite the challenges she faces, Nancy remains fearless and determined, using her intelligence and resourcefulness to keep her friends safe and solve any problem that comes her way.
Am I dreaming or is that you, Harrington?
Steve?
Yeah, it's me, don't cream your pants.
Steve Harrington would be a living legend. He's got a signature hairdo, spiky blonde locks that would make every girl swoon. As the star quarterback of the football team, he's got the moves to match the looks. He's dressed to impress, decked out in the latest Abercrombie and Fitch gear. He's cruising around town in his cherry red convertible Mustang, blasting the hottest tracks by Eminem and 50 Cent. But Steve's not just all looks and cool. He and Dustin form an unlikely bond over their shared love of hair gel and Halo. Steve becomes a mentor to Dustin, offering him a shoulder to lean on, guidance on navigating the ups and downs of high school, and some questionable advice on wooing the ladies. Together, they're the ultimate duo, ready to take on anything the world throws at them.
Picking you up, just so that we're crystal clear about things. So
Yeah,
there's no
Hop.
Yeah.
Stop talking or I change my mind.
Jim Hopper in 2003 would be the epitome of vintage cool. He would be sporting a classic jeans and flannel combo, complete with hair that's just a little too shaggy for a chief of police. Despite his gruff exterior, he is well known for his quick wit, never missing a beat when it comes to dishing out wry comebacks. Although he may have traded in his walkie-talkie for a flip phone, his resolve to protect those he loves remains unwavering. He would be a rock-solid father figure to Eleven, even if she's still trying to wrap her head around the concept of an iPod. Despite being captured by the Taliban in a prison camp, he would be fearless in the face of danger. He would bravely hold off the Demogorgon long enough for Joyce to come to his rescue. Their reunion would be a defining moment, and they would finally confess their romantic feelings for one another in a quintessentially early 2000s way, by exchanging mixed CDs filled with their favorite tunes.
He's not like you.
Jonathan Byers is the ultimate 2000s brooding bad boy. With his scraggly hair and leather jacket, he's like a character straight out of the OC. With a heart of gold and a love for his brother and girlfriend Nancy, he'll stop at nothing to protect them. He's got mad skills behind the camera, capturing all the behind-the-scenes drama of Hawkins in his trusty Nikon.
And turn to the light.
When he's not crushing it as a photographer for the local paper, you can find him rocking out to classic emo jams by Dashboard Confessional and taking on the latest Xbox games. But don't let his quiet demeanor fool you. Jonathan is a fighter and will jump into action when it comes to saving his loved ones from the Upside Down. He may not be the life of the party, but he's got a passion for justice that makes him the ultimate wingman. Joyce Byers, the epitome of the quintessential early 2000s mom, embodies the spirit of love and determination. With her feathered hair, mom jeans, and flannel shirts, she's always ready to take on the world for the sake of her kids. In a time when flip phones were still the norm, she'd be quick to call for backup with her trusty Nokia, ready to save her son Will from the upside down.
How do I find you? What should I do?
Whether it's wiring her home with Christmas lights to communicate with Will, or facing against the Demogorgon, Joyce is never one to back down. Her relentless spirit and fierce love for her family make her the ultimate protector and a true hero in the eyes of Hawkins, Indiana.
Popping pillies, man, I feel just like a rock star.
Billy will be cruising down the streets of Hawkins in his classic Camaro, music blasting from the speakers with the latest hits from Good Charlotte and My Chemical Romance. Billy would be the life of the party, with a devil-may-care attitude and a wild streak that just won't quit. With his troubled past and his bad boy charm, Billy would be the most talked about person in Hawkins, leaving everyone on the edge of their seats, wondering what he'll do next.
I have karate from 1 to 3 on Fridays.
Murray Bauman is the ultimate 2000s conspiracy theorist. With his iconic beard and balding head, he's always seen with a bottle of vodka, sipping away as he tries to piece together the latest government cover-up. When he's not dedicating his time to unraveling the mysteries of government cover-ups and exploring the unknown, he can be found watching reruns of The X-Files, piecing together the latest theories with his sharp wit and analytical mind. Whether it's the truth about the moon landing, the JFK assassination, or the New World Order, Murray is determined to get to the bottom of it all.
I'm Newbie, superhero.
Bob Newby would be a true geek from head to toe. He would be a walking encyclopedia of all things nerdy, with a passion for movies like The Matrix and Austin Powers that is only matched by his love for reruns of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Bob is always quick with a movie quote or pop culture reference, and he has a smile that lit up the room whenever he talked about his latest Star Trek episode. Despite countless comments from his friends and family about his uncanny resemblance to Sam from Lord of the Rings, he simply can't see it. Bob is too busy getting lost in the worlds of his favorite movies and TV shows to worry about anything else. But for those who knew him best, Bob's enthusiasm for all things geeky is one of the things they loved most about him. Eddie Munson from Stranger Things would have been the ultimate rock star of Hawkins High in the early 2000s. With his electrifying stage presence, Eddie would have had the school headbanging to the tunes of classic rock bands like Metallica, AC/DC, and Guns N' Roses. He'd be the epitome of a guitar-wielding, leather-clad rebel who, in true early 2000s fashion, would be constantly seen sporting a chain wallet and studded belt.
I've never seen Father so angry. He needed me. Father is not one to change his mind.
Susie from Stranger Things would be a true enigma to those who only knew her on the surface. With her buttoned-up style and seemingly wholesome upbringing in a religious and conservative household, most people would never guess the extent of her secret life as a top-notch hacker. Growing up in a religious and conservative house, she'd have to hide her obsession with the Harry Potter books. She might even have a Hogwarts robe and wand hidden in a top-secret spot in her room. Being a homeschooler, her parents always supported her ambitions with technology, but they never thought she'd use her brand new iMac to delve into the dark corners of the internet and explore the limits of her hacking skills. Whether she's buried deep in the pages of a Harry Potter novel or testing the limits of her coding skills, Susie is a true force to be reckoned with.
What are we looking for exactly?
Robin Buckley in the early 2000s would be the epitome of a classic sidekick, always seen by her friend's side, offering her unwavering support. As an employee at the local Blockbuster, she would have a vast knowledge of the hottest movie releases of the time, including The Lord of the Rings, X-Men, and Harry Potter. Her eclectic fashion sense would be a perfect representation of the early 2000s trendsetter.
I'm not kidding.
seamlessly blending elements of alternative, trendy, and vintage styles. With a love for choker necklaces and oversized sunglasses, Robin would pair her graphic band t-shirts with low-rise flare jeans and add an extra touch of edge to her look with a studded belt and combat boots. She's not afraid to take risks and step out of her comfort zone, always willing to do what it takes to support her friends and be there for them when they need her the most. Whether it's cracking jokes to lighten the mood or putting herself in harm's way to protect those who she loves, Robin is the ultimate early 2000s sidekick.
Serve shots.
Argyle, the cool as a cucumber delivery driver from Stranger Things, would be right at home in the early 2000s. With his laid-back, surfer dude attitude, Argyle would be grooving to the hottest tunes by Linkin Park and Limp Bizkit. He'd be sporting the latest fashion trend, with his baggy cargo shorts and stylish Von Dutcher trucker hat completing his casual yet edgy look. Argyle is the type of guy who knows how to live life to the fullest. He spends his days cruising around town in his surfer mobile, delivering hot and delicious pizza to hungry customers. But when the sun goes down and the workday is done, Argyle can be found chowing down on late-night tacos at the local Taco Bell, savoring every bite and enjoying life to the fullest.
That is horrifying.
The mid-2000s version of Stranger Things would be a wild ride full of nostalgia and humor, but also still keeping the same heart and bravery that the original series embodies. From the latest trends in fashion and music to the latest gaming and technology, this version would offer a fresh perspective on the classic story we all know and love. The characters, with their new flair and updated personalities, would still remain true to their roots, and the battles against the Upside Down would be just as thrilling.